to more Fortnite YouTubers, and in this YouTube video I am going to be playing World of Airports. So yeah, so let me just go into this view since I like this view, and let me just do all this. Let's see this plane land, because I like this plane. Boeing 767. Five out of 10. No, 6.52 out of 10. Oh, just that one. Oh yeah, quite that.
I've never heard their real names. That is the first time I've ever heard their real names. I only knew it as Fly, Solka, Kodiak Red, Slang, and Alex. He is not aware of their position. Eventually, this leads to another thing about it. During this whole time frame, they were trying their best to go viral, and it gets so slight to the oldest of the movies. And in terms of aesthetic, I mean, she was good at fucking tattoos. You can get no problem tattoos. How much did you spend on tattoos? I spent around 30K. How old
Air Shuttle 7821, line up and wait runway 19 left. stand Bravo 2.
Speaker is not bad, but Speaker falls into the exact category of I'm a swerve that whoa. Don't buy that thing. That's not even sad. That's like all road. That is that's like half. That's like full half. How much money? What the fuck? Anytime a motherfucker says that, no. I don't feel it. Of the Island Boys songs that you got
Swoop 5224, runway 19 right, clear to land. Wind 24 degrees, 3 knots.
Maybe I'll take that wrong. Maybe I'll take that line. I'm trying to understand how they made that money.
I don't think the most of it was they had. It felt like they lasted forever. But this ain't they don't
Like, if I didn't guess, off their height, that they probably need like 100 feet back.
French was exactly what you come there on doing. Because by the looks of it, they were the only ones who didn't realize they were published. And if there's one thing that you know about those internet crazes, they don't last forever. Back when they were making more money than they ever had, dial-up was
Like, this is not what's bad, bro. This is just not what's bad. The yellow easy phones, or whatever the phones are, bro, I hate those shit. I fucking hate those shit. Those are the worst fucking waste of money. Dying for fucking money. Yes,
Swoop 5224, taxi.
dial-up was flexible.
probably 3 in the bottom.
I'd rather than people being
November uniform, Victor Yankee. Handling started TOBT in 1704 minutes.
a little audience that actually began to look. The Island Boys would keep just monetized whatever they could, no matter the cost of what they did. Among them,
Yeah, they started acting with each other. Incestuous shit.
main thing that this would realize is that they didn't get any exposure. So doing what recently showing that they would have to argue with one another by manufacturing fake photos, trying to trace the plan.
Papa Juliet, Quebec, Bravo Yankee. Handling started TOBT in
Yo, hard, Texas, Texas. Yo, hard, Texas, Texas. Yo, Texas, TikTok, TikTok, logo. I'm the one that told you to send the Airbnb, and I'm the one that made the actual call. Okay, I told you.
Then they tried to open up other revenues.
Damn, you know,
Cameo account,
you paid $65 for the fucking house.
where they routinely lash out on your mansion with bad reviews. It's still case that they don't want to because where they were initially
shit. I remember motherfuckers get me to say, you're just talking shit. It'd be talking shit. That's all it was. Either just straight up the camera, you can like, tell my brother he's talking shit.
And unfortunately, they probably didn't know they're at their
These are cameos, I saw that cameos here. It must be super cool that, nothing against cameo, I know you need to make money, but the cut is so bad. It's like, you're basically paying $100, so you paid $100 for a cameo for me, because that's not so much. I'm fucking talking about money, because I'm not when I make fucking cameos, and I don't want to charge people. Like, brother, motherfuckers give me just, say hi to Jack, and I'll be like, hey, Jack, and then I have to open the fucking platform to give me pay money. That's Steve. No, it's not. I know Steve. Cameo takes 30, I think it's 33%. So if they order on a website on Safari, Cameo takes that out of the company. It's a $30 cameo. They're going to take that. If you order on an iPhone on an app, which is what the majority of people order Cameo on, Apple takes their own percentage. They cut up less than half all of the videos up. So you will be paying, say I need to get and you need $50 for a cameo, I'll take like literally $20. Which is still good. It's $20. But it's a scam because you're basically inputting that amount of money and only a very small percentage is ending up in the hands of the person that you think you're paying.
The Island Boys go on. I see what these ones are. Because at that time, they seem like all one night. Now, this makes it although sorry that we didn't have to use that, financial experts estimated
Alright, so far what I can tell is kind of compare, I think they also like to find it. Some places are like, fuck, something. The wind down downward, there's a little bit, there's $1,000 that's a good retail down. I'll put it like the two, but they have another $50,000 of other stuff that they're not doing. So let's just say they have about $250,000 worth of collectible assets for each of them. So that's how much they have included, approximately in less than a ton, showing off what else.
It's like that. They weren't moving life behind. And it all came down to like 90 cents. Right? And this misplaced belief in themselves is what led them to turn down a deal that had less than.
Well, no, it's the problem because they're still getting paycheck to paycheck. The paycheck is just very high. And so now they earn the money that they make instead of saving. Right? I want to suck at on TikTok. This is how quick you rise. I it's funny. It's not better than anybody ever because it's a fucking I'll just say, wow, right? TikTok is kind of fun. And part of the problem is because it's quick. One slower, you can go quicker than other people. Still one slower, to a place where you're able to adapt financially, personally, and individually. If you work on TikTok, you can literally go from 0 to 1 million in a day. And people still have the same mindset they had the day before, but now they're making 10K, 20K a month, and they're making more money. I'm not going to make 20K a month for $1 million. I'm just giving this as an example. Say you're making that amount of money, you're going to just be spending it how your previous self would.
That would have at least provided them with an advantage.
You say you have to like say something like I'm gonna try to handcuff this. You walk into like do weird things, like not weird things but cutting things. You got mad at something like that, something because you stop like having the same type of energy right when you told me I want you to cut the wrist off. You know, cut my wrist off.
But I think all the juries are big, at least. They don't need to flash cash. They're only looking for
Or getting paid by a lab. It's like the easiest job. Brothers, people that have one and they pay motherfuckers like $150K a year.
to the point that they got very obnoxious. That even those who initially joined this team would eventually change their tune.
And then I
you'll ever do that to you like twice. The majority of the time, you are normal. The majority of the time, they'll walk up, they'll be like, oh my god, are you Joe? And I'll, shake their hand, hey, you watch my videos, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's just ask me. They'll all ask that. Sometimes they're shy, and I'll be like, eventually I'm like, yeah. And then it'll kind of stay here, just here, and ask me.
I think the job for great stuff is going to guys do. I mean, for real. I think you guys get all of your assets and invest in something. So you guys will never ever be broke again. So I don't think there's ever going to be a broke situation. I'm saying like if you guys I don't think you feel better. You guys, I don't know, you can't but yeah,
We're young enough to where baseball is $100,000 worth of jewelry, putting in some sort of portfolio that can yield them 6% per year, 7% per year, not even like a market. Yeah, they can retire and buy.
Air Transport 7990, runway 19 center, clear to land with 19 degrees, 1.
Some of them are in industry, while others have limitations to drugs and alcohol, putting them in constant risk. But people are flying off the house, even in your head, completely able to just randomly fall out of the sky, which in practice doesn't really happen. It's just when you guys crash and you'll get hurt on the takeoff or landing. And things like that right here, like holding off down in the sky, you see there like fall out of the sky. Unless you're having COVID and landing inside, you can fall apart there off. Or maybe a 7 skydive plane with another story. Or maybe if you were on a lot of air flights 004, which happened in 1991 before the 767. What happened there was that the thruster of the number 1 engine, the left engine, randomly deployed in midair at 400 knots. Was now air being pushed forward out of the airplane. The lift capabilities of the wing was attached to practically which is why you're stall. The plane ended up in expiring conditions that then put these forces upon it over the limit of their airframe and it caused a loss to which is a crazy thought. The possibility that we already saw a lot of trade. But we saw a trade in the explain what's interesting is that we can actually see a huge effect. As you can see, we are kind of going to the left, which is, very expected when now this engine is pushing air. No, this plane's not stalling and falling out of the sky. Everything's actually flying all right. In fact, we have a lot of time to turn those engines off. This is no problem. In real life, it would have probably looked a little more like this. Oh, and there we go. Pretty easy. We've lost everything. No. It's generally spiraling out of the sky. Lap over speed, and the A350 now in mission
about, which we can actually genuinely do. Check out the beautiful toggle right there, and if you have 15 thing is, first thing you might want to do this for a longer time, but yeah, just spot that. You see it, it's still going. There you go. And then, yes, that's called freedom line. You have the freedom to deploy reverse drive mid-flight, as well as being able to go supersonic speeds like we did. That's exactly the same as like a ball out of the sky, we shoot down Tron. We are now cutting the engines back on. That is, yes, rush over and going full power, and then you are trying to be going forward with this beautiful old school shovel design of the CC8. I think it's not the wheel, the engine drone goes forward a lot. Now, why are we seeing people do all this? So you can see how small the engines are for you, or at the but it's also the DC8's engine placement running long time runs, as you can see, long struts, which doesn't affect the lift performance of the wheel. Doesn't become a great drama plane out of the sky as part of an emergency assembly to the put out. So, spoiler radar on target engine while off for dropping our plane at 3,000 per minute. 4,000 per minute. Go on your airline will be and going to perform stuff and drawing. Now that you're putting down the air, of course, you're able to land from this altitude. 23,000 feet. That's normally way down. 20,000 feet lower than we are right now. But if you put the landing gear down, we'll have so much drag and altitude that we'll and we're generally on. There we go.
United 26.
I'm going to be careful. Healing 5,000. They held off and seaboard knobs in comparison to check this out. 6,000 feet per minute. We're minimal. We have 10,000 feet. Check out this angle at which this plane is in. Check out those flaps. Beautiful. We're straight headed for our runway. Beautiful. Alright, this is a proper ILS approach. Right now exceeding over 6,000 feet of velocity. Heading this down to see 6,000 feet and a minus. Our runway is getting closer and closer, dumping the nose down all the way.
Delta 976, runway 19, center cleared to land, wind 8 degrees, 10 knots.
Yeah. Just like that beautiful AGL, our right there. Perfect. Our reverse thrust is still applied. We're still applied. Now we're in front of the poppies. Right now, our reverse thrust is still running. We're putting orange brakes, which should stop us in 0 time as well. Beautiful. We can exit the runway. That is what I'm talking about, the DC-8, everybody. A plane with reverse thrust is so powerful that we can actually this may not be the most realistic representation. This is actually quite great. Check this out. We don't need no bridge back truck. We can probably take out and reverse. Now, all the C-17 with its reverse thrust, often does that. Just did tactical rotating. It's like cool. It's probably just what we're landing at. But it looks like we're surely not done a lot for DC-8. Thank you very much to my friends, supporting members like Jamie Aston, Mike C, James Durrell, Ravings, Ben RLD, Matt
Quebec Bravo Yankee, start up and push back through.
This is one of the other highest speed guys. Who's this guy? Norm, yeah. Is Norm the guy obsessed with Michael? Yeah, he's the guy who loves Michael, and there's no reason him to be brought back. Although, as I say, I do think it makes sense that they bring back some of the heist crew from GTA 5 to GTA 6.
November Golf Papa Romeo, line up and wait runway.
Especially because they then can be vehicles to talk about stuff from GTA 5. Because that's kind of what they did for GTA 4. They brought back some heist crew from GTA 4, and then enabled them to be like, oh man, we did all these cool things back in Liberty City. So I mean, it's possible, because then you could talk about how amazing Michael was. I'm still going to say no, but I think there's a chance now. Omega? I think he's just going to be a bit old. And the justification to move him out to Miami, like... He does have Vice City energy, sure. He was in San Andreas, was he? Maybe... Yeah, I mean, conspiracies are huge in Vice City, sure. I keep saying Miami rather than Vice City. I hope people don't care, but sure, I'll stop saying Vice City.
Oh, yes. Every time I see a Boeing 757, I think about the fun times I've had with it so far in the flight simulator and perhaps in real life. Yeah, the 757 introduced in the 1980s, known as the Atari Ferrari. Ferrari being that it's fast. Yes, we've got these beautiful Rolls-Royce engines. Do not touch. And Atari means that the cockpit for the time was incredibly modern. You can see glass cockpit. We were talking about the 80s when the first two planes to actually feature a glass cockpit that actually worked kind of well. Really, really nice. The airplane truly known as the sports car of the skies was, especially with the Rolls-Royce engines, were able to choose between Rolls-Royce and Pratt Whitney engines. Well, airlines were able to. As you can see, Rolls does have a little bit more performance. There's over 43,000 pounds of thrust these engines can deliver, which means that technically this airplane uses less runway than a 737. Yes, a very low weight to power ratio that we'll now use. Let's go ahead and get these engines to run to full power. Yes, we're going to hear that plane fully spooled up. Perfect for a very, very light, low fuel. Let's go ahead and release the parking brake. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, see this? We're able to gain speed incredibly fast. There we go, we can easily take off here, even on runways that aren't specifically made for planes this big, and we can pretty much vertically take off without, as you can see, losing too much speed. Again, this is a normal climb to perform on the 757. See this? Remember, properly, we're gaining speed in it. Check out our climb ratio. This little airport down here has never seen a plane climb this incredibly fast. There we go, we're not losing speed yet. The plane known for, the flaps having to be placed up on departure very quickly because the plane very quickly overspeeded the flap speed. And just like that, right, it climbed to over 42,000 feet. very, very high service ceiling. Yeah, this is a 757-200. We also have the 300. We also have the 200F, which is the cargo variant. Over 1,000 of these were built. Massively successful airplane that we all know is, are the airlines kind of struggling to replace the airliner since it works so well still. It's aged pretty damn well. 1980s. Come on, the nail in the coffin for this plane was set in 2004 and it's still flying around. I still kind of regularly on it. On Condor, for example, in Europe. And you can sit very well into that cabin, but you can feel that incredible power. This plane is incredibly fun to fly. So let's go ahead and maybe use those abilities. Yes, how about flying this beautiful airplane, which does have a little bit of total landing here. You can see it might be kind of candidate for a motor machine. As we travel into this plane at places where you would normally not see a 757. Spoilers come up are kind of high. Very, very fast here on approach to this Ladrino airport, something like that. We're somewhere in Italy. That's great. Of course, the sports car also has to have sports car brakes. Have to brake pretty quick. Let's see if that turns out to for the 757. I might have not used the full capabilities of motorization here with this airplane here on this landing, but there you go. We are stopping. We're going full into the brakes, and that stopped in no time. Oh yes, of course. We're talking about an incredibly powerful engine. That was actually not that bad of a landing. I think the motorization capabilities of this airplane isn't bad at all. Check this out. Beautiful. These beautiful engines here pulling reversals, pulling a lot of reversals. This plane practically has the ability to fly to any airport that is somewhat flyable by a jet. I mean, seriously, look at this. This is not a jet airport. Great. Let me try Locarno Airport here, very south of Switzerland. It's got an 800-meter long runway. Not even that. I mean, check this out. This is a very short runway now. 800 meters, definitely nothing to joke about. But I promise you, we're going to be able to land. No issues at all. Come on, this motor plane slowing down nice, just as it should. As you would see, actually brings the speed of this airplane down to a guide 20 knots. It'll sit happy, fly out.
Delta 3584 line up and wait for...
Perfect. Reverse thrust is going to do it nice. What a nicely flying airplane. We can use the environment. That's great. That's a good success. The fact we were able to start so quickly. Check that out. Beautiful land. This plane flies so nicely. I know it's kind of hard to properly guess how the plane flies in real life from the flight simulator. This is a very nice design model. Check this out. Here, black crystals, beautiful. We stopped in Norway. Surely that's been half of this runway. That is absolutely incredible. And that gives me a lot of confidence. We fly to take part of the island. Yeah, I mean, the wait runway 3 it's got a 600 long runway. Pretty damn low, but kind of normal here at State Purple. In fact, so much confidence we're going to be landing this airplane on the proper side, the 10 side, which means we're going to fly down the mountain. Perfect. This plane is so well controllable, it's incredible. Surely at sports cars, go ahead now do it. Just fine on the runway. That was incredible. I mean, this has been absolutely beautiful. It's incredible how this plane handles all this. Although I do have to say that this plane obviously ends in death. The passengers in it, they're buried and fueling it. It's just a base plane without any meaning. But still, despite that, this is an amazing. Maybe let's try to take off at 757. We're only 10, and I promise you this will work. Taking off from 600 meters. Yeah, this plane leaves only around, 2,000 meters to take off. At least that's really light. This thing needs a whole lot less here. Okay, come on, let's do it. Racing the brakes, let's go. Meanwhile, put those flaps out so that they're coming out while we try to lift off. We'll just need more than a bit. Alright, there we go. 100 knots, 120 knots, something like that. There we go. We're able to take off it just fine. That was good. Tail strike, I'm sorry. But there we go. We were able to take off just fine. Check out how the skyrocket literally works. How are you able to stall this airplane? That is so incredible. We're so 140 knots. That's just fine. This thing flies like a little private jet, maybe a fighter jet even. You can
got to see her too. While we're climbing up, there we go, little aileron roll. Please, alright, there you go, that's worked just fine. Perfect, just nuts. It's a little wing flex, absolutely beautiful. Regular lobster engine. And then we've got the ram turbine. But still, this plane, even without the engines, flies well. But it's time for the Avalanche test. Right from us, we've got a runway that's like 500 meters or 400 meters long. Even shorter, I promise you this will work too. Yes, what a shame the 757 is slowly maturely dying out. No one wants to try and play them. Over 20 years old. If you have the chance to fly on one of those, because you ain't gonna have forever. 757 isn't it to die for it? Come on, let's land on this runway that you can see down there. We can smooth landing. Alright, that's gonna be a very short one. Okay, alright, not birds, okay, we're not probably able to land this plane anyway. Oh, it's been a very, very short stop too. Yeah, we're doing late landing. Check out kind of a water machine. Come on, let's be real. But still, that didn't work. We didn't quite make it here. Great. So we're in the Boeing 757. Absolutely beautiful plane, sports plane. Atari Ferrari. There's no way to take off the spot. Although this runway course flight simulator isn't paid. That's no problem at all. Either. Swear to God, you're going to be able to take off. Yeah. There you go. Didn't touch any little piece of water. Now, once you're in the air, you probably vertically put this plane up. So once again, that is the message. Fly as long as you still can. And everybody, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Sporty.
How reality TV houses are built to break.
On January 11, 1973, over 10 million people tuned in to watch footage recorded from the 35 Wooddale Lane. The advertisement for their show, An American Family, featured only the cameraman pointed at film stock of the house. The family was filmed as they went about their daily routine. Over the course of 12 episodes, the family of 5 that lived in the home completely fell apart, and the drama of their downfall made for exceptionally riveting television.
So here's your problem.
What's your problem?
Yeah, why can't you do that?
That's like the first reality show. I didn't even know they had this that long ago.
Yet none of the events of the show, the infidelity, the divorce, none of it was scripted. The Loud family was instructed to live their lives as if there was no camera present. They were to do nothing differently than they would ordinarily. So, on the surface, nothing about the family or the house was changed for the show. Yet, the house becomes a really critical part of the show's plot. It provides the unrealistic expectations that the family's trying to live up to, especially the matriarch, Pat Loud, who's preoccupied with keeping it orderly. Its oppressiveness prompts the eldest son, Lance, to flee for New York. It also establishes certain production limitations for the show, like the microphones that had to be located in the chandelier above the dining room table, which confined all the important conversations to happen underneath it. If someone didn't want to be filmed, like when Pat told Bill that she wanted a divorce, she just went into a room and closed the door. But if family members or anyone visiting the house were moving about, the production
It is way worse now. It shows like what? What are shows that have bad reality setups? Big Brother is really one like Big Brother has a bad setup, a bad household. All reality shows basically try to pin people against each other through hierarchy. That's obviously through competitions, like in Survivor, where there's somebody that gets immunity, or in Big Brother, where your head of household can't be eliminated, or veto, or anything of those sorts. But they always format houses to segment people to where they can talk secretively, but also are able to be heard from other rooms of the house, so you're never really private.
crew would be there to capture it. But the crew was supposed to minimize any disruptions to the natural course of the family's life. Just observe and record, like a fly on the wall. Technological limitations at the time, though, it meant that equipment was kind of scattered everywhere. The crew themselves became a part of the environment of the home, like good friends to the family.
Yeah, it's not like today where they just have random security cameras that are panning and watching you and you genuinely feel alone. In this, there's just 3 camera guys and a sound person holding a boomstick, just watching you, talking to your husband about how you hate him and you want to divorce him.
And later, even family members themselves. So the house was...
Well, I've been fucking rattled. What are you going to do about it? characters gradually like shuffling back and like giggling.
It's changed for the show. The next question becomes then, is that what led to the family's demise? I mean, it just so happens to coincide with the filming of the show. And in a sense, every reality TV show is like a social, psychological experiment. Today's highly produced, even scripted reality shows involve wild scenarios that they just can't be staged in normal, unaltered.
Big Brother sucks, man. I can't watch that shit. It actually feels staged. When I used to watch it in like 2016, 2017, it was enjoyable. And yeah, there was like obviously some cringy takes and stuff. And when they would do the interviews, you could tell they shot it a bunch of times to get something to say in the exact emotional way they wanted them to. But now when you watch Big Brother, the way they even interact in the show, it just feels like some of the people are just fucking plants to just stir up shit. That or they're legitimately insane.
Houses anymore.
It's a house like no other, where 94 cameras follow your...
Whenever I watch Big Brother, they also only show one toilet in the entire... Actually, two. They only show two toilets in the entire house. One in head of household and one in, like, the common bathroom area. And I always wonder where other toilets are. Because there's no way they're making, like, 20 fucking people use two toilets.
Every move, and 113 microphones capture your every word.
These need especially built structures to carry out the self-imposed limitations for setups like groups of strangers that can't leave, or living together and competing while never meeting, or dating without ever seeing one another. The architecture that enables these, they can be downright diabolical if you just analyze them on their face value as a place where people might live. So let's do that. Let's look at the domestic spaces of a few of these reality shows. We can start with the houses from the show Big Brother. They look normal-ish on screen, but their floor plans reveal the careful engineering and manipulation and the control of the participants that live here for weeks on end. In any other context, these could be read as torture chambers. The torture began for a group of 16 folks in August of 2023 when season 25 kicked off, and they entered the house for the very first time. For the next 100 days, they lived in a specially built studio on CBS's Studio 18 lot in Studio City. We follow them as they exit the main staging area into the public zone of their new accommodation. The kitchen and dining are on the left, with the living room over on the right. These spaces are almost completely open.
Yeah, they always run around the house and they're like, oh my god, it's so beautiful! And it's really annoying because it's always the BB super fans that are there and they're like, and they start getting into it and they're like, this is a dream come true, I just love the house, it's amazing! And it's fucking so, it's just literally they just change up the fucking decor. The house never looks different. It's always a kitchen on the fucking left, there's a random middle round of a TV where they go, they have a fucking bathroom and a bunch of bedrooms with like random hot size beds.
The kitchen and dining are on the left, with the living room over on the right. These spaces are almost completely open, with no corners. Literally, some of them are chamfered. Nor are there any areas.
Don't drag BB, drag the players. Now I'm gonna drag Big Brother, because this past season they had a fucking AI reality person. Big Brother AI robot.
United 187 runway 19 sector cleared to land. Wind 29 degrees 4 knots.
And it was just literally boomers trying to go, hey, how can we make this game appeal to younger audiences? And they were like, oh, I know, let's just have a stupid AI voice that's going to talk to contestants non-stop. I literally stopped watching it. People disconnected from
areas to be able to get away from any of the other contestants. This layout forces interaction. That stokes any late.
Yeah, it's so open concept that there's never any closed area where you can just chill. Every season there's people that freak out and start crying and they want to go alone, and they'll walk into a room to like be alone, but it's a room with 8 beds. And so there will be literally like a man or it's usually a woman, but a man or a woman, the guys usually have crash outs, the guys freak out, the girls cry on the show. That's just how it is. You can look back at the seasons. Most of the guys never cry, most of the guys freak out and start screaming at each other and borderline fist fight, beat the shit out of each other. The women sometimes do that, but then usually go into a women cry. And they'll be in the corner, like fucking sobbing, freaking out, like trying to be alone. And then Chad will walk in and be like, oh, forgot my water bottle. You okay? Meanwhile, she's going like in a ball in the corner, and he's just like, you good? And then he'll walk out, and then it starts beef between them. It's not even like either of their faults.
Potential for conflict. By denying anyone privacy, Even the angles of the walls and the wood wall at the entrance, it kind of forces you to pick a side and then thrusts you into view of the cameras, which we see in the second episode when Izzy confronts Jared awkwardly right next to the rest of the group.
Let me tell you, I don't want you to go home.
The decor even reinforces this with discordant elements being thrust together, divided by just lightning. This to me feels like the constant goal of the entire design, reinforcing division, encapsulation, and disruption.
No, they want division, but they want it to be open. For you to have a private conversation, they want you to be able to be in view of the people that aren't involved in the conversation, which causes a struggle between contestants and makes them hate each other. If you had closed rooms, two people could walk into a room and have a conversation and nobody would give a fuck. But instead, you have to be having a private conversation 30 feet away from me, and I'm literally watching you look at me.
Well, that's gonna be the end of this YouTube video, and bye.